Isolation feels safe, but it's slowing down your healing journey. In stage 5, the last stage that we have here for the healing journey, we're going to be discussing how we're going to be choosing connection over isolation. It's a very important stage to understand as we go through this healing journey and understanding the different stages, how they all go together. But this last stage is very, very important, just like the other ones, right? So the healing doesn't mean you do it all alone. It means finding safe people, right, who can walk with you. Finding safe people and safe outlet, whether it be a counselor, pastor, family, whatever the case is, but it's making sure that you're choosing somebody that you feel comfortable with and that you can actually walk through this step with them. And also where this person is not actually trying to fix the situation, but there's more of a listener. They're listening to you as you're going through this. And it's very difficult to try to find people like that, especially if you don't really speak to anybody or anything, but just try to find it. This stage, like I said, as we continue to go on, we're going to see that choosing this connection over isolation is the best way, and it's also recommended by the trauma recovery centers, right? And also by therapists. And we'll get more into that because right now it's more about offering the tools, right? And also offering experience behind it. And I wish I would have had something like this as I was going through my healing journey. So we think healing is private, right? But growth happens in the safe spaces. You weren't meant to carry all of this alone. You were not meant to carry these problems that you're going through alone. You were not to do this. We are supposed to be bound together, right? Just like in the last video, we're talking about connecting to a higher power. We're not supposed to go through these things alone. And sometimes we isolate ourselves because we think it's the best way to do it. Or we don't want to burden anybody, or we don't want to put anybody through whatever situations that we're going through. But even the therapist, right? Whenever you seek that type of help and you go through those recovery centers or wherever the case is, they all recommend this. They all share the same exact thing. Here are some therapy insights, right? In a trauma recovery, co-regulation is key, right? Healing often happens in the presence of others. Healing often happens in the presence of others. We can only do so much of our own. But once you start actually getting these emotions out, you actually start talking to people, you actually start, just really, whatever it is, it could be raw emotions, and you start getting it out, you start to it's kind of like opening a faucet and you're pouring things out. And then slowly you start to understand a little bit more, of what you're actually going through and how to actually, just go through this process in the correct way. The other one says here, attachment theory shows that safe, consistent relationships, right, help calm the nervous systems and rebuild trust. That's interesting. It shows that safe, consistent relationships help calm the nervous system. Nervous system, what we talking about? Anxiety, depressions, all these other things, right? I know when I experienced my loss with my son, I went through a lot of crazy things that were happening to me. I remember the night that same night that he had passed, I started feeling some type of my heart, it was my chest was bothering me, right? And then I started having issues with my eyesight. It was just a lot of weird physical things that were happening because when we go through these type of these grief and these losses, a lot of stuff starts happening here, but it can also start manifesting physically. My psychiatrist at the VA was the one who told me about that when I started mentioning certain things. I went to the VA hospital. They did a bunch of tests on my eyes. My eyes are perfect. They did a heart echo, whatever that thing's, echocardiogram, a lot of things, and there was nothing physically. So it started making sense that it was a lot of stress, a lot of things that I was going through that I didn't know, but it was manifesting it through the physical sense. Also, being heard and seen by someone safe validates your pain and helps restore your sense of worth. Being heard and being seen. We want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want our pain to be acknowledged. However it may came out, however it is, we just want to be heard during these times. We just have so much in us and to let it out. And if we get to that point where we actually are vulnerable and we open up with a safe person and all that, we want to be heard. We want to actually understand, what we're going through. A lot of people think healing is about independence, but actually our brains are wired to hear through safe connections. It makes it all sense right there when we're asking about that type of stuff, man. Heal through safe connections, whoever it may be, your wife, whatever it is. I just want you to understand that isolation is not what we want to choose in this state that we're in this stage. We want to hear, we want to listen to other people. That's why I'm doing these videos, so that way we can understand it better and really start getting this type of, process where we feel comfortable, guys. That's all what this is about, to understand that. What can help? Find a safe person, a friend, a mentor, a therapist. You don't need a crowd. You just need one who's going to listen without, trying to fix you. You don't need a crowd. You just need to find somebody. Find anybody, whoever it is, doesn't matter. Find somebody, Another one right here. We got to practice vulnerability. We got to open up. Start by sharing just a little bit. Healing doesn't demand for you to pour it out at once. It just needs little space at a time. A little here, a little there, and a little opening up, and a little bit, just get it out there. I already spoke a little bit about my experience with my son. What I went through was one of the worst things, right? I found my son laying on that couch. I'm the one that found him. 18 years old. He was fine the day before. Nothing was happening. And now I have to experience this. That's some trauma. That still affects me to this day. And what I did during that time was I chose isolation, and I started keeping myself away from everyone, thinking that it was helping me out, but it wasn't. Now, I was also fooled thinking that isolation meant strength. Isolation doesn't mean strength. And I also had that thing, I didn't want to be a burden to anybody. But the thing was that I was becoming a burden because everybody was worrying about me. Everybody was trying to see what was happening, what was going through my head, but I didn't want to open up. So, I'm going to wrap this up here. I don't want to take too long. We can get into it more in some other videos I'm going to start doing. But we went through the 5 stages of the healing journey. All of them have a purpose. All of them have a meaning behind them. Go check them all out one by one. And reason why these videos aren't long, because I don't want to draw them out. I just want to get to the points, so then that way we can connect through comments. We can connect through, your story. Send me messages, wherever the case is. And we can also just help people as we go through this, because whatever we're going through, especially those who have experienced loss and trauma like I have and have gone through these situations, we're supposed to be testimonies for others. We're supposed to be there and help heal others and share our stories, so that way we can let them know that you're not alone in this process. You're not alone. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to be like this. That's the whole thing about finding, a connection over isolation. And especially when you have people that you can actually, connect with and understand you. It could be your family. It might not be your family. It could be a friend. It could be wherever the case is. But just remember, what we're doing here in stage 5 is we're choosing connection over isolation. I want you guys to be blessed. Spoken Truth Revival. Subscribe, like, do all that. Follow me for some more content when it comes to the grief journey, and a lot about these other situations as we get into them. God bless you guys.